Okay, an auction is a place where people can buy or sell things. People say how much they will pay for something, and the person who is willing to pay the most gets the item. So the place our auction is taking place is on Google Meet. The people selling things are all the teachers at Syringa, and the people buying things are you, the students, but your money is Scala dollars, not real money. The amount of how much you're willing to pay for an item is called a bid, and the person in charge of the auction is an auctioneer. Some auctions only let you do one bid, and some let you change your bid and get higher and higher. We're going to do the second way. So if the first person bids 2 Scala dollars, but you really want that thing and you have 3 Scala dollars, you can bid 3 Scala dollars. So we have some pretend students here today, and they all have some Scala dollars. Mrs. Floyd, how many Scala dollars do you have?
I have 10 Scala dollars.
Good job. You must have been really good.
I was. I paid attention in class, and I helped people, and I was really good.
What about you, Mr. Dame? How many Scala dollars do you have?
2.
Oh, 2. That's going to be tough. You're going to have to be selective about what you bid on. Or bid on a lot of things.
You still earned 2 Scala dollars.
I earned 2.
Yeah.
I earned 2.
2 is better than none. Ms. Hogue, how many Scala dollars do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ooh, good job. And Mr. Swan, how many do you have?
I must have some fall in my pocket because I only ended up with 4.
Oh, 4 Scala dollars. What is...
Anyway, I was going to say it's not good to know how much I have when I'm bidding against someone. But
yes, for the real thing, we will not have you students tell us how many you have. This is
for you who is going to the auction, don't let the person next to you know how much money you have in your pocket.
This is just an example.
I happen to know Mr. Swan had more Scala dollars in his than on things like giving to the front of the lunch line and stuff like that.
That's true, that's true. Mr. Swan, you brought up a good point before we started this video. Can you talk about that again?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
You brought up a good point before we started this video about bidding and how many Scala dollars you have.
Yeah, I think just, oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, good point. Yeah, make sure that you, whenever you go to an auction, or I guess whenever you go to purchase anything, make sure you have a proper amount of money to purchase that. So wherever they do the auction, everything's going on, the auction here is, they're bid take bids left and right, and it goes up and up. Don't get caught in the excitement and overspend. So if you only have $5, you can't bid $6 or $7 or $8. You have to stay within your means. You have to spend only the amount of money that you have, which is hard in an auction. Sometimes you get excited.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. And that is very true because we are going to, you have to trade us the Scala dollars to actually get the prize. We'll contact you by email or when school's back, and you have to give us the Scala dollars, and then we give you the prize. Mrs. Lloyd, you have a comment?
Yes. And also remember, say you win a bid and you have 4 Scala dollars, you win a bid for 4 Scala dollars. Remember that if you have a bid for 3 Scala dollars somewhere else, and you say you win that bid, you only have the 4 Scala dollars. So make sure that you're not bidding on numerous things and that you're using all your Scala dollars on one, and then you don't have enough on another going along on that same line.
Good point, Mrs. Lloyd. Also, Mrs. Lloyd, you've got a lot of Scala dollars there. Could you tell us a little bit about what strategy would you use? Would you start off bidding the total amount that you have? Like, if there's something you want, would you go 10 Scala dollars?
No, I would not. I would go as low as bid as possible on a particular item, and then if it starts going up, like if I put in $1 for something that I want on the list, and then somebody else comes in for $2, then if I still really want that item, then I would go to $3. You don't want to just go in all in for $10 on something you want, because you never know. Maybe it just and then I still have 7 scholar dollars to bid on something else.
Good point. I think another important strategy is to look through the slideshow and see what you want to bid on so that you don't spend all your money early when there's something really cool at the end that you wanted. So everyone has access to the slideshow in their advisory Google Classroom. Look at the items that are up for bid. Okay, I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see our first item up for bid.
I'm excited.
You should be. Auctions are exciting. Okay, can you see my screen that says Scholar Dollar Auction? Okay, so this is how it's going to work. If you want to bid on an item, I'm going to move the screen so students can see this really quick. Okay, here's how it's going to work. If you want to bid on an item, you're going to type your name and how many Scholar dollars you bid into the chat box. So you can see the example there says Juan Jones, and he's putting 5. If you win a prize, you'll be contacted by email with instructions of how to receive it, how to trade those Scholar dollars for the prize. And you can work in groups. For example, if Mary, Susie, and Joe each have 3 Scholar dollars, but they want to pool them all together because the cookies are already at 6. The bid is 6, so they pool them together, and then they can bid 7, 8, or 9, and then they might win. Does that make sense? Okay. So
I think a key point to make is it's the last bid that wins it.
yes, the last
for instance,
highest bid.
If Mr. Dame is willing to bid 5 and I'm willing to bid 5, whoever gets in at 5 first, neither one of us is willing to go to 6. So whoever got to 5 first, they're gonna win that. So
Exactly. Good point, Mr. Swan. Good point. Okay, our first item of the bid is going to be 1 dozen homemade cinnamon rolls. I'm going to switch my screen over so that the students can see the chat. I'm going to open the chat. Okay, so our first item up to bid is a dozen homemade cinnamon rolls. Who has an opening bid for a dozen homemade cinnamon rolls? At this point, you should probably be muted. All the students should. This is going to be a chat auction, not a real auction. There's only 3 prizes in this pretend auction, people. Only 3 prizes and 4 of you. Not everyone's going to get anything. Mr. Dame bids 1. Mr. Dame would give 1 for the 1 Scholar dollar for those cinnamon rolls. Oh, Mr. Swan will go 2. 2 Scholar dollars for those cinnamon rolls. Anything higher than 2? Okay, 2.
Mom, we already told us how much money you have.
2 going once.
I should make my own cinnamon roll, so I'm holding out for something else.
2 going twice. 2 going 3 times. Mr. Swan has won the cinnamon rolls.
I really didn't want the cinnamon roll. I just wanted to bid up Mrs. Lloyd. Dang it, didn't work. I'm looking forward to these cinnamon rolls.
You're so funny. Okay, our next item up for bid is a bag of Takis. There's the Takis. Okay, this is the second to last item. Only 3 items in our pretend auction. Who will give me 1 Scholar dollar for those Takis? Oh, Mrs. Hogue and Mrs. Lloyd each bid 1, but Mrs. Hogue got in first on the chat. It's whoever's chat comes up first. So Mrs. Hogue is currently in the lead with 1 Scholar dollar. Mr. Dame says 2, Mrs. Lloyd says 2, but Mr. Dame got the 2 in first. So right now it's Mr. Dame in the lead with 2 Scholar dollars. Anyone gonna go 3? Miss Hogue's gonna go 3. Mrs. Lloyd's gonna go 3, but Mrs. Hogue got in first. So Miss Hogue's in the lead. 3 Scholar dollars. Anyone gonna go 4? Do I hear 4 Scholar dollars? Okay, $3 Scala dollars going once, $3 Scala dollars going twice, and gone. Miss Hogue wins the Takis for $3 Scala dollars. Okay, our last prize of our pretend auction is a makeup tutorial lesson from Miss Ocampo. She will teach you how to do makeup. This is a valuable special prize. You don't want a makeup tutorial, Mr. Swan? Mr. James?
It's already above my head. I wanted to get a bit, and I just didn't get the opportunity.
And you spent half your Scala dollars on cinnamon rolls. Okay, a makeup tutorial from Mrs. Ocampo. Do I hear $1 Scala dollar? Hey, have you people already bid? Damon Lloyd, were you already bidding too? Oh, so we're already at 2. I think maybe tomorrow we will type in like an ending thing so we know where one prize ends, the next goes. Okay, Mrs. Lloyd has bid up Mr. James. Mrs. Lloyd will give $3 Scala dollars for a makeup tutorial lesson from Miss Ocampo. Mr. James out. He's out of Scala dollars. Anyone else? Anything higher than 3? Okay, going once, going twice, and Mrs. Lloyd wins. So at the end of the day, Mr. Swan won cinnamon rolls. Miss Hogue won Takis. Is that right? And Mrs. Lloyd won a makeup tutorial, and Mr. James still has $2 Scala dollars to spend on things when school restarts. He can cut to the front of the lunch line or sit up on the stage. His Scala dollars are still good.
Mr. Dane, we can make a deal out back for half the cinnamon rolls.
You can split them. Good job, James. Good job. Okay, students, I hope that this was an informative video on how to do the auction. And I hope we see you all tomorrow on our Google Meet for the auction. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of good prizes. Thank you, students.